I'm John Himmelman, and I write and illustrate children's books. And today I'm going to be reading a book I did a while ago called A Wood Frog's Life. And I got interested in frogs through my wife's paintings. My wife is an artist, and she went through a period where she was painting frogs that we'd find in our yard. In fact, there's a painting that she did of a not sure what that is. It's some kind of a frog, but it's not from around here. But I wanted her to do more of these paintings, so I set out to find more frogs. And in doing so, I really just became fascinated with them, and I wanted to find every single frog I could in all of New England, and I set out to do that. And in doing so, I ended up doing a book years later called Discovering Amphibians, Frogs and Salamanders of the Northeast. And I had traveled from northern Vermont all the way down to southern Connecticut, because I kept it in New England, in search of every species of frog and every species of salamander, and I got them all but one. But before I even did all that, I ended up writing this book called A Wood Frog's Life. This is a picture book, and it's part of a series of books I did, the Nature of Clothes series, that follows some insects, some amphibians, some frogs, some mammal throughout its birth to its actually having offspring of its own. So let's hear the story. A Wood Frog's Life. And I'll put this little informational thing up in the end. Unfortunately, I only have a paperback copy of this, so it's going to be a little floppity. In spring, a wood frog lays her eggs in a pool of shallow water. And those are her eggs inside a mass of eggs, this gelatinous, gooey, somewhat see-through mass. And each one of those little black circles is what's going to become another frog. Three weeks later, the first tadpole hatches. Tadpoles spend their first few days hanging from the egg mass. So there's tadpole coming out. I think I got it there. And they just sort of hang around. They're not really great swimmers at this point, so they just sort of stick around their egg mass with all their brothers and sisters. Each tadpole munches on algae that grows on rocks at the bottom of the pool. As time goes by, the tadpole grows and legs appear. Here it is, munching away. By the way, that's a leech swimming in the background. They're like these ribbons in the water. I've watched them swim, and as gross as they are, and they suck your blood and kind of latch on, when they're swimming, they're kind of graceful and kind of neat to watch. But they're still leeches. Soon the tadpole takes his first breath of air. Just 2 months after hatching, the tadpole has turned into a frog. So there it is, big gulp of air. And when it comes up, finally, it leaves the water. It kind of sticks around the water, but it's now fully living on land, and that's a variable damselfly that's also sitting on the lily pad. He hunts for small flies near the edge of the pool. As the frog grows, he moves farther into the woods. So there is eating a little black fly, little froglet, and now it's venturing out into the woods. And wood frogs look like leaves, so they blend in very well with their background. Most frogs spend most of their time in water. Wood frogs, they live on land. The frog's skin blends in with dead leaves, but some enemies can still spot him. After a summer of eating, sleeping, hiding, and escaping, the frog gets ready for winter. So there's a raccoon looking for an easy meal. Looks like the frog gets away. Good thing, because that would be the end of the story. And here it is. It's getting fall. The leaves are changing. There's a maple spanworm up there on the leaf. He sleeps below the leaves during the cold winter. A sunny spring morning wakes the wood frog. So the frogs, they don't go that deep, and in the winter, they freeze solid. They become frogsicles. And I've actually found them at this stage, and they feel like a cold block of wood. So they're staying protected under the snow, and it's time to wake up. Then the wood frog returns to the woods. All summer he searches for food. When the weather grows cold, he finds a cozy place to spend his second winter. So there it is, going after a mosquito. And it's time to tuck in for another long nap. The wood frog hibernates through the coldest days and nights and wakes up on a sunny spring afternoon. So there it is, underground. And if you see at the bottom of the page there, that's a cicada that's also overwintering. And now it's time to wake up for another spring. And that's those are pileated woodpeckers in the background that also like living in the woods. Once again, wood frogs head toward a nearby pool of water. This year, the wood frog's quacking attracts a female. They're gathering. And it's two frogs in love. And when frogs call, it sounds like ducks. They just do this quacking, chortling noise. It's kind of neat when they're all together. The frogs mate in the water, and the female lays hundreds of eggs. After a few days, the wood frog returns to his summer home in the woods. So there's Mr. and Mrs. Frog and their eggs. And now it's back to the woods. Oops. But something blocks his path. He is kissed by a girl looking for her prince. You probably shouldn't kiss frogs, though. Not sanitary. The girl does not harm the wood frog. She returns him to the ground. For the rest of his years, the wood frog will spend most of his time on the forest floor. So it's free again. Just hanging out, thinking froggy thoughts. And each spring he will add his voice to the wood frog chorus. Hanging out with his buddies. And it's the males who do the singing, who do the calling, and they're calling to help the females find where they are. And the best time to really find them is a rainy night in spring. And you'll just see them all out on the road. And they use that opportunity, excuse me, to move from the woods to the water. And the moist ground and the wet air actually keeps them from drying out when they're doing that. So it's really a good time to find them. And then in the summer, if you're walking on a trail in the woods, this is likely to be the frog that you would come across. So go out, so you can find them. They're out right now. It's March 31, and the wood frogs are out, but not in their biggest numbers yet. They're going to be really starting to pile up throughout early April. So thanks for listening, and have a great spring.